Hello, I'm Andrew Court, and welcome back for episode 3 of my video series on the sacred feminine, Women in the Bible. Today we'll be talking about Eve once again, and the story of the fall. Now, in the story of Eden, after Eve has spoken with the serpent, Genesis says this: "When the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat." Notice that Adam's behavior in this story is completely passive. Throughout the scene, he is silent. The serpent and Eve have their discussion. She decides to eat the fruit, and she gives some to Adam, and he eats it too. And that's all it says. The story does not say that Eve tempted him, and nothing in the narration or in his silence suggests that she did. There's no indication he's reluctant to eat the fruit, that his better judgment is overwhelmed by treachery, or even that he thinks about it at all. He says nothing and takes no initiative. It is simply a passive act of acquiescence. Now, Socrates will later describe the human soul as composed of 3 parts: the thoughts of the mind, the emotions of the heart, and the needs and appetites of the body. He shows us that these parts are in a state of chaos and disorder, and he says that to perfect one's soul means that each of these parts must perform its proper function in a well-ordered harmony with the others. Now here, in the Garden of Eden story, which is a parable of our inner life and the need to evolve and perfect our souls, Adam represents the mind, Eve represents the heart, and the serpent represents the body. This is common mythological symbolism: males representing thoughts, females representing emotions, and animals representing the needs of the physical. In their proper alignment, as Socrates later says explicitly, the mind should be the active principle that governs our soul. The body should be passive and support the efforts of the mind. And the heart should be the reconciling principle that protects the soul and integrates all 3 aspects together under the guidance of the mind. But what happened in the Garden of Eden is that this order was inverted. The serpent, the body, interfered, took the active lead, decided what to do, and persuaded Eve, the heart, to go along with its wishes. Adam, the mind, silent and oblivious, passively went along. I would submit that this was the real sin that took place in the Garden of Eden, and that recurs in each one of us. This is the original, in the sense of fundamental, sin. The sin of an inverted, upside-down soul. Now, I think it takes very little imagination to see that this allegory provides a complete and frighteningly accurate description of our contemporary lives. The pop culture, the vulgarity, the greed. The body's appetites are completely in charge of our actions. The heart's emotions fawn over these cravings, and the mind, at least in the sense of genuine wisdom, sits back silently and just lets it all continue. Original sin is not something an evil woman did a long time ago. On the contrary, we are all committing this sin right now. It's high time we stopped blaming Eve. When God returns to the garden, his instructions are really quite simple. If the soul wants to evolve, the serpent must crawl on its belly. In other words, the body must be passive and turn its attention to the earth. Adam must earn his bread through the sweat of his face. In other words, the mind, the face, must become active, sweat, and take control and be in charge. And now here's the kicker. And Eve must obey her husband. But this statement should not be twisted into a sexist command about social or marital relations. This is an inner symbol, and it simply means that our heart must be guided by the intelligence of our mind, not by the cravings of the body. The effort that is described here, the balancing and realignment of our upside-down souls, is the first step in spiritual evolution. Well, next time we'll be moving on to the story of Sarah. I hope you'll come back, and in the meantime, if you haven't done so already, please visit my website at Spirituality and Religion, join the conversation, add your comments and thoughts, and sign up for my mailing list on spiritual growth. Thanks, and I hope I'll see you next time.